Right, so here we are lined up for the round 2 of Proximity Racing League. Ancient Pleb is on the pole, followed by Jackson and Abbey to speed. So we'll see what good of a launch does Ancient Pleb gets. And we're off for round 2. And Abbey to speed, just like last week, didn't manage to get the best of launch. But Caesar, meanwhile, second race in the road, goes down the inside for the lead of Austrian Grand Prix from P3 up into P1. But did I see someone spin out? I'm not really sure. We'll have to go back and see further down the back. Everything looks alright. Except Clownster. Oh, Clownster and RKW. Fun anyway, meanwhile, is stuck on the grid. So not really sure what happened there. But RKW and Clownster definitely seems to have spun and maybe had a collision with somewhere. I'm not really sure. We'll have to check with them and know. But meanwhile, Jax is up into P2 again, but I think Caesar might have pushed him down, and yes, we can see Caesar has slowed down to let Jackson through, and so that's fair from him, and that's what I expect everyone in this league to do. But that has allowed Apitaku to go down on the outside, but both of them are fighting down. This means that Jackster is getting gaining more and more time on the field. Back front, you can see how much time he has gained now as Apitaku and Caesar fight each other out through the sector 2, and there you see Caesar has to concede the position, but in the process he has lost a lot of positions. He's down into P5. Abbey to speed and Ancient Pleb are up, but that also means that Ancient Pleb, who started on pole, remember, is down into P3 as Abbey and Ancient Pleb goes side by side into the penultimate corner, but in the final corner I believe Ancient Pleb will have the better exit as Ancient Pleb goes wide. Not really sure. I think he must have had some contact made by Abitaku, but look at these. Caesar is back up into P4, and this is 5 cars going into turn 1. Who will, hopefully everyone is safe and sound. A lot of cars going wide. Caesar goes widest of them all, but everyone manages to hold it quite cleanly as Reaper Kane has been overtaken by RKW. Meanwhile, further up the grid, it's a drag race between Abitaku and Caesar, but Abitaku on the inside breaks really late, and Caesar tries for the switch back as Pierre Skinny sends it down from all the way back. He was not even in this group, but he has managed to break really late and gain up all of this position as slight contact between Monk and Sand. There, Will Sand sends it down the inside. He thinks about it, but oh, he goes to just there on time and he loses on the curb. He loses all the momentum. He is facing the wrong way where he shouldn't be facing, and he's lost all the positions that he fought for. And meanwhile, where is Jackster? I don't see Jackster. I'm sorry, Clownster. Clownster is nowhere to be seen. I think he must have disconnected, but that has meant that Ancient Pleb is up into P1 and he's unchallenged now, and judging by his pace that he showed last week, this should be an easy race for him to pull away the gap from the Abitaku and Caesar fighting it out for P2. So not the best, as Caesar gets half a second penalty for corner extension there. But up into turn 1, will Caesar attempt the move on the outside? He does holds it as Kenny goes really wide into turn 1, but yeah, both of these guys still fighting it out. Abitaku defending hard. Caesar is on softs, but Abitaku is on the medium, so that explains the lack of pace from Abitaku, and yeah, not the best strategy to hold. He's well within his right, by the way, to fight for the position, but you can see everyone behind him. Caesar, Abbey to speed, Monk, Skinny, Archie, RKW. So these guys are on the racing soft, and Abitaku, to be fair to him, is doing quite well to hold the pack behind, but Ancient Pleb on racing soft is pulling away a lot of gap from the rest of the guys behind. So as you can see, Caesar literally pushing him through the corners to make way as Abbey to speed goes onto the gravel just a bit. So now will we see a move made here by Caesar? Abitaku goes really defensive. Caesar really tries to switch back line. He breaks a bit early, and you can see a switch back. He does manage to make that work and pushes Abbey to speed. Abitaku just a bit, and Abbey to speed takes advantage of that. And now Abitaku is down to P4 from P2. So now this should help Abbey to speed and Caesar, who are teammates by the way, to pull away from Abitaku. So Abitaku can act as a wall for these two drivers. And you can see Abby to speed loses on the exit of turn 1 and hits the wall, and now he's down all the way to P6 from P3. So not a good news for Abby to speed. But meanwhile, Abby Thakur and Wildest Monk, who are teammates again, Wildest Monk on the soft try to switch back line and taps Abby Thakur just a little bit, but I don't think Abby Thakur will complain about that too much. And you can see Wildest Monk has managed to make that move stick, as will Abby Thakur. Sends it down. He does on the racing medium. He tries to gain that position back. So this is not a good racecraft from Abby Thakur, I must say. I mean, at least from the point of view of his teammate, he should let his teammate by, who is definitely on a quicker compound of tires at the moment. So as you can see, Wildest Monk is again down on the inside, and now this should be quite an easy move, and Wildest Monk should be able to pull away. And you can see how much Caesar has pulled away from this pack, courtesy defensive driving from Abby Thakur, who is on the racing medium. And you can see he sends it down the inside again. So Abby Thakur is really fighting this out. And then you can see Archie at the back. He has lost the back end, and he's lost all the momentum in the Aston Martin, and he has lost some time to the guys fighting for P3. And you can see Wildest Monk again on the softs has managed to pull the gap away, but Abby Thakur taps Abby to speed. So Abby to speed won't be a happy man here. He is unable to find a way past Abby Thakur. As I've said, Abby Thakur is well within his right to defend the position, even though from the overall race strategy point of view, he shouldn't fight this. But you can see Abby Thakur again defending and pushing his teammate wide. So from team point of view, this is really not helping the team of Abby Thakur and Wildest Monk, and this has allowed Abby to speed to pull away. But Abby Thakur on the inside, will he defend this again? You can see his brake really late and went really deep into the corner, and Abby to speed smartly enough goes by the switchback and reclaims P3, and that has allowed PRX Skinny from P6 go up into P5. So this has not helped Wildest Monk. You can see Caesar up into distance, really pulled the gap, and now in these twisty corners of sector 3 of Red Bull Ring, Abby to speed should be able to pull away the gap from here. Further back, you can see RKV has managed to close the gap to this group, courtesy everyone fighting. And you can see PRX Skinny drifting to the penultimate corner, and he is into the pits. I'm not really sure if he meant to go in, and I think he did, because Ancient Pleb and Caesar are into the pits. Abby to speed meanwhile has decided to continue, and you can see Ancient Pleb comes right besides Abby to speed. Ancient Pleb is on fresh racing soft, and you can see the tire difference between these two is quite a lot. So Ancient Pleb has a pit stop advantage, and Ancient Pleb, you can see, just lifted off there to let Abby to speed through. Maybe he is deciding to get the slipstream and make the move work further back down the field. Abby Thakur is doing really well to hold on to P3 on his racing medium. Wildest Monk meanwhile has managed to close the gap down to his teammate, but his tire weight is relatively closer to Abby Thakur. It's not the best, but not the worst compared to his teammate. Meanwhile, you can see Ancient Pleb is right on Abby to speed's tail. He's really pushing him to go faster. Caesar, meanwhile, who was in P2, remember, is down into P6, and he's closing in on RKV further down the field. Skinny made his pit stop, so he has quite a bit of a gap to Caesar, so he should be able to close the gap relatively easily compared to what he was fighting in a group. Meanwhile, let's have a look if Abby to speed decides to pit. Yes, he is in the pits on the next lap, releasing Ancient Pleb to go on in his merry way. Caesar up into P2 again. So Abby Thakur, Monk, RKV, and Abby to speed are all in the pits. Skinny, meanwhile, is still who pitted last lap, is on the racing medium. Caesar is on the medium himself, but Pleb is on the soft. So Skinny and Caesar are on a different strategy. Edie Sands continuing his run. As you can see, he just managed to hold on his car, and he comes right behind RKV. So he is in P7 and he'll be losing more and more time as these four guys, RKV on the mediums, Monk, Abhi Thakur is on the softs now, so he should be relatively quicker than the Skinny who is on the mediums as Abhi Thakur goes really wide. So Abhi Thakur will close up and probably pull away from Wildest Monk, his teammate. So we'll have to wait and see how Abhi Thakur manages his race on these racing mediums. Abhi to speed, meanwhile, not in the best positions, down into P8. So he has refueled quite a bit, judging by the fuel indicators. So he will find it difficult to go past. So this race is not looking really good for him at the moment. Remember, he finished P3 in Spain. He could have won, but due to fuel strategy, he lost that race. So will we see something similar tonight? Not really sure. We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, down in P8. So let's see how that goes. So Ancient Pleb setting the fastest lap of the race with a 128.6. No surprise there. He will be on his own for now. Caesar meanwhile into P2, quite comfortable P2. Abhi to speed meanwhile has managed to overtake Skinny. He's in P3. Edie Sands is in the pits. Skinny meanwhile should hold back and use Abhi Thakur as a tow to stay in front of Wildest Monk and to close the gap to Caesar and Ancient Pleb in P2 and P1 respectively. RKV is on the racing medium. He is on the same compound as Monk, so he should be able to close the gap down if Skinny and Monk are involved in the battle of their own. Abhi to speed will be closing down. He's up into P7. Clowns the Knight is down into P8. I'm not really sure if I called his name or Jackster. I was really confused. So Jackster, who disconnected from the race from P1, it wasn't Clownster. So I apologize if I made that error. So Jackster was the one who disconnected, unfortunately. Repa, Kane, Edie Sands, Archie are your 11 drivers who are still in the race. Ancient Pleb up. He's still in P1. Caesar is still in P2. Abhi Thakur is pulling away from Skinny, which is what Abhi Thakur would have been looking for. So the race is quite evenly spread out. Skinny in P4, Monk in P5. So Abhi Thakur has done quite well actually, who started on racing medium. But one thing what was really surprising from Abhi Thakur is he started on the medium compound tire, so he should have gone a little bit longer. He pitted on the same lap as the other soft runners, so he was struggling for tire wear. We did see the difference between his and his teammates' tire wear, who were on a different compound in the first 10th. So they were very much on the similar tire wear, so maybe he needs to manage his tires a bit better. You can see RKV much closer to this group. RKV, I believe, had a spin on lap 1, so he has done quite well to close up the gap, and you can see he is now well within a diving bomb range, but not close enough. But probably next lap we'll see. Abhi to speed meanwhile still down in P7. He is on racing hearts though, so are we seeing a one-stop strategy for him? That explains the inability of him to not close the gap to this group. But we'll have to wait and see if he will do a one-stop or two-stop. Meanwhile, RKV is sending it down the inside. We did see that he is having more pace at the moment compared to the Wildest Monk, and you can see he is looking for an opportunity right now to make the move stick, but I don't think he will have any opportunity in these two corners, so he will have to bide his time. Skinny meanwhile not having the best of entry and the exit, and that is allowed Monk and RKV to close down on him, and you can see Monk is closing in on Skinny. Will he send it down the inside? No, he decides against it quite smartly enough, and you can see Skinny is really struggling now, and this has allowed a better one to Monk, who with the help of Slipstream will have a better, as we see time penalty being added into Skinny. Skinny goes really defensive. Now will Monk make the move stick on the outside? Skinny breaks really late and he parks the bus, but he goes a bit deeper than he would have hoped for, and Monk with a better switchback line has now moved up into P4. So now it's up to PRX Skinny. Will he hold it down the outside? RKV on the slipstream of Skinny, but there's a little bit of tap, and that has allowed RKV to again attempt this switchback move and make the moves really stick. So the move sticks. So that has put Skinny down into P6, and now RKV on the inside of Monk, who has shown clearly he has much better pace than Monk at the moment, is up into P4. So RKV playing the patient game and taking advantage of the battle between Skinny and Monk, and he's now up into P4 as we see Ancient Pleb is again into the pits. So this is the second pit stop, remember. Caesar meanwhile has decided to stay on the track for maybe another lap. We'll have to wait and see. Ancient Pleb meanwhile down into P7 within the pits, and we can see he's up again. Where will Pleb come out? Will he come behind these guys? I'm sure he will be looking to come ahead, but no, he's come just behind these guys, so not the best position for him to come out. And so he will be really looking to make his move, and you can see that he is lifting and coasting, just trying to get no penalties to his name. And now with the pace and the tire advantage on, again he's on the racing soft. So, and Skinny meanwhile has got a better exit than him, but with the help of slipstream, I think Ancient Pleb will have the advantage through the corner. Will Ancient Pleb fight this? No, Skinny is fighting it down the inside, and he is giving him all the space, but thanks to superior grip on the racing softs, Ancient Pleb will have better exit speed and the position, as we can see Ancient Pleb cements P5. And now we'll have to wait and see how Ancient Pleb approaches these two guys fighting in the front. Caesar is in P1, so he could get some advantage with Pleb being held up behind these relatively slower guys on worn tires. As we can see, Monk goes a little bit wide and Skinny goes even wider. So this is not really helping Pleb, but this is helping Caesar. And you can see Pleb has got a better exit, and we can see him overtake. Will Pleb send down the inside? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm at the wrong camera angle. I can't seem to get to Pleb. Now we are. So will Pleb make the move into turn 3, I believe, if you can call this one turn 2? Will he brake later than Monk? He can if he wants to, but he decides against it, and we can see Monk goes a bit deep, and Ancient Pleb taking opportunity of that, and now he is up into P4. So now he will hunt P3 pretty soon. We can see the gap is quite big, but will Monk send it? No, he decides against it. So Ancient Pleb playing the waiting game. He believes in his pace. He has confidence that even after being held up and Caesar getting all the advantage with the clear air up in P1, he will be able to make inroads later in the race, as we are just over 18 minutes now. So 12 minutes still remaining. So we have not a lot of laps left as RKV sends it down the inside of RKV. It's almost 3 wide, and Abitaku gets a little tap from RKV gets a little tap from Abitaku, but RKV is really fighting, but Abitaku on the inside and better compound of tires. You can look at the difference between the tire wear. So Ancient Pleb is definitely on a better advantage. Moves up into P2, and you can see Caesar on the racing medium is still into P1, so hopefully we will see him into the pits pretty soon, as the battle for P2 I think is pretty much done and dusted. This is RKV will have to concede P2 to Ancient Pleb. Remember, Ancient Pleb is running a different strategy to RKV, as now we have a 3-way battle for P6 at the moment. Abitaku has just come out of the pits, and ED Sands on the worn softs will be on a disadvantage, and his teammate on the racing medium still doing a pretty good job. Remember, him and Abitaku pitted on the same lap, but Abitaku has managed to come out in front of his teammate. As you can see, Monk losing the back end just a bit and managing to hold on. Abbey to speed still on the racing hard. Tire wear is still pretty much good, but that's expected of the Hearts. So now is Caesar going in the pits? Yeah, yep, we see him. He is in the pits, and this should give the lead back to Ancient Pleb. So what compound will Caesar come out on? We'll have to wait and see, but Pleb will regain P1. Caesar is refueling, so he won't come out in P2, I believe. Any other battle going on track? I see someone else in the pits. The Monk has decided to come into the pits, and Caesar will come out down into P4. So he comes out just in front of Skinny. So I believe that's really good and worked out really well for Caesar. He has managed to come in front of Skinny, so he won't be losing any time. But will Skinny sends it down the inside, as we did see earlier in lap 2 or lap 3? He decides, like, he thought of it. But yeah, you can see he goes wide, and this should allow Caesar to pull away the gap now and hopefully close in to his teammate who's running on racing hard. So will we see team orders further down the line? We'll have to wait and see. So RKV on much worn racing medium is being attacked by Abbey to speed. So I don't think with just under 9 minutes left in the race, Abbey to speed will be pitting. Fuel wise, he looks quite comfortable, and the tire wear is not bad at all. So I believe Abbey to speed is committed to a one stop, but how much will that hurt him? We'll have to wait and see. Ancient Pleb meanwhile is about to end lap 14, starting lap 15 now. They as confirmation, you can see. Abbey to speed meanwhile is right on tail of RKV. So as someone else is in the pits. Who is that? That's Skinny. Skinny has come into the pits, so this should be his final pit stop. As Abbey to speed, you can see how much time he has gained through sector to turn 1, courtesy RKV's not so good entry and exit off that corner. But RKV, will he fight it on his worn mediums? He fights it. He breaks much later, but Abbey to speed tries to switch back line, and on the better and grippier racing hards makes the move stick. So that was really smart driving from Abbey to speed. Judged his rival's intention quite early, and will we see a move on down the inside? No. So I believe that's P2 done and dusted for Abbey to speed. RKV meanwhile, I'm sorry, Ancient Pleb is quite comfortable in the lead. You can see the his tire weight is looking not the best, so fuel wise he's quite good, so I think he can afford to pit again. Will we see him pitting this lap? Let's have a look. As he takes the penultimate corner, he is looking like, and he is going into the pit. So as expected, Pleb is risking it, and he is going into the pits. So where will he come out in regards to everyone? We'll have to wait and see, as RKV is going into the pits again. So that should release Caesar into P2 or maybe P3, depending on where Pleb is. For the back, we see it's a fight between Reap Arcane and Clownster. Oh, why is Arcane coming into the pits? Oh, fuel is the issue. Oh, because of fuel, tire wear doesn't look too bad, but fuel is where he was struggling. So let's get back to the battle. Any close battle? Where is Pleb? Pleb is in P1. Look at the pace advantage Pleb has. He has made an extra pit stop than everyone on track, and he still manages to come out in P1. So now I think he's just sandbagging his Ancient Pleb. Official sandbagger of Proximity GT Sport Racing League. No harm except accepting that fact. So he should pull away the gap from Abbey to speed now, who is on racing hard and on quite comfortable load of fuel in his tank. Caesar meanwhile looks good to finish on this compound of tires and on the same level of fuel. Meanwhile, further back down the field, we see a three-way battle for P6 now between Monk, Clownster and Skinny. Tire wise, Monk is on a much better soft. He's on the one medium is Clownster, and Skinny is on fresh soft. So we should see Skinny making the move, courtesy his grippier tire, but not in this corner at least, and this will allow Monk to pull up, and you can see the gap is already building up. So will Skinny send it down the inside? I believe we should stay just a bit patient. Wait for maybe turn, and you can see Clownster just missed the breaking point, and this has made the move really not that challenging for Skinny, and he is up into P6. So Skinny would be really pleased with that he didn't have to fight too much for that, but Clownster is again under attack. He sends it down the inside, makes a big collision with Skinny, but yeah, Skinny is again reclaimed that P7. So I think Clownster was in the wrong there because of his worn mediums, and yeah, just getting stuck into the dirty air of Skinny. But low harm done, no penalty for Skinny through in-game, and yeah. Meanwhile, for the field, we see Caesar has made the move on the Abbey to speed his teammates, so maybe multi-21 has come into play, and I think that's a smart move. If you know that your teammate is faster than you, you play the team game and try to secure maximum point for your team, and I believe that is what has happened here. So Caesar is, and the Ancient Pleb is in the pits again. Now this is really interesting, as for sure Caesar and Abbey to speed will be in P1 and P2, net P1 and P2 that is. Abbey Tarkot is in the pits again. He will be refueling for sure, and you can see the bright green of Ancient Pleb coming out of the pits just now, and he is behind these two. Now will these teammates work together and hold up Ancient Pleb, who is on the fresh racing soft again? Pleb has the fastest lap time in the race, remember, of 1:28.1. So will he go for another fast lap? Will Abbey to speed work for his team and hold Ancient Pleb as much as he can? Pleb is definitely on the pace advantage here than everyone else. You can see these three are not too far off each other. There are just under 3 minutes left to go as Abbey to speed drifted around the corner. Ancient Pleb doing the switchback line. He is on the outside of this turn, but courtesy his grippier racing soft, I don't think there's much Abbey to speed can do, and you can see unfortunately for the team of Caesar and Abbey to speed, Ancient Pleb has managed to overtake Abbey to speed, so now it's pretty easy for Ancient Pleb to catch. But meanwhile, further back down the field, Abbey Tarkot and Monk, these two teammates again are fighting it out to each other. Monk on the racing soft and Abbey Tarkot on the even fresher racing soft. You can see Monk is defending for his life from his teammate and Abbey Tarkot. We know how aggressive he is while attacking and defending as well. Ancient Pleb is on Caesar still, we can see. Abbey Tarkot sends it down the inside, makes really late, makes contact, and while it's Monk drifting, and so is Abbey Tarkot. Abbey Tarkot decides against it, but further down the field, Caesar is into P1. He will go defensive. He surely has to go defensive. I'm sorry, defensive is the word. I can't even speak properly. And Caesar goes defensive as close to the track as possible. You can see he has ghosted, and this should help Monk properly. Monk. I'm saying Caesar. Caesar is. I can't speak. There's so much going on. Pleb has managed to get himself half a second penalty, but courtesy his fresh soft, he has got a better exit of turn 2. Caesar breaks really late, and Ancient Pleb does what Caesar's teammate has been doing to everyone else on track, does the switchback and makes the move stick. So I believe Ancient Pleb has managed to go in front. And speaking of teammates, Abbey Tarkot has managed to make the move stick on his teammate as well. So he is up on into P5. The tire wear wise, Skinny is on a relatively better tire to Monk, but with time running out, just now a minute left now. It's just over a minute back then. So with a minute now, will we see any position swaps on the track? Ancient Pleb will start the final lap of the race. Lap 20 will be the final lap, as there you go, this is the final lap. Ancient Pleb in P1. Will he make any mistake? If he doesn't, P1 is guaranteed. Caesar in P2 running on the medium. Abbey to speed doing the only driver to do a one stop, I believe. is in P3 further down the field. RKV, who managed to get a spin in lap 1, has done relatively well, is running into P4. Abby Tagore, a lot of defensive driving we have seen from him. He is in P5. His teammate, who I think won't be too happy with his teammate, with his driving style. These teammates not working as they should. Monk is in P6. Skinny in P7 with a 3-second tire penalty. Clownster is all by himself in P8. Reap, Arcane in P8. Edie Sands in P10 and Archie in P11. So everyone is on quite a stable gap to each other, so we'll stay on board with Ancient Pleb, who, like Spain, has really dominated the race and played the patient game. I think his racecraft is quite exceptional. He plays the patient game, doesn't sense it down the inside, doesn't get too eager to make his move. He believes in his pace. He knows that he has the pace to win the race, and that's what we've seen in Austria tonight. And as he takes the final corner, and for second time in a row, just like Spain, he breaks to get rid of those penalties. He will take the checkered flag and takes the win in the Proximity GT Racing League for second time in a row. Abbey to speed, braking and getting rid of those penalties, finishes P3. So there's the podium. RKV, is he out of fuel? I believe he was. And Abby Tagore, Wildest Monk and Skinny finishing in P5, 6 and 7 respectively. Clownster Knight crossing the line in P8. Reap, Arcane will finish the race in P9. So guys like Reap, Arcane, Archie and Edie Sands, meanwhile, there's a swap in position here. I'm not really sure what happened. Edie Sands was running in P10 and Archie did manage to take P10 in the end. So here we are, quite an eventful race. Ancient Pleb taking the checkered flag once again, so that's twice in a row. Ancient Pleb has been on pole and won the race after making the most pit stops. I believe second time in a row. I think that's second time in a row as well. So yeah, this is Caesar, your commentator for the league, and thanks everyone for watching the race, and thanks everyone who participated. And we'll see you next week. I believe it's Spa Francorchamps. We'll just have a look and confirm. But until the next week, it's Caesar, and goodbye.